What live on YouTube, live on Facebook, live on Instagram, and let me click us over live on LinkedIn. Bam! We did it. What up, y'all? This is your Daily Sigh. Today is uh, Tuesday, April 7th, my son's birthday. Happy birthday to little Ronan. He just turned 9 today, and we've already had a wee of a day. We went to Bam Kazam, which is like a human arcade, is what they call it. It's like an escape room type of thing. Um, and then we had In and Out, and now he got to choose what he wanted to do today. He wanted to play video games. So I am sneaking in here to hang out with y'all, and I'm probably going to call it a short day. But before I do that, let me give you the lay of the land. If this is your first time here, your first time tuning in live, my name is Qasim. I go live every single day, and to the very best of my ability, I try to update you on everything that's going on in the entrepreneurial world across business, AI markets, platforms, and policy. And it's hard to keep up. So if you're a business owner with a real business trying to keep up with what's going on, instead of just, doing your best or trying to drink from a fire hose, you just tune in here every single day, 6 p.m. Eastern. And I'll not only catch you up, but we also have a free mastermind going on, which you can join. No cost, no obligation, no pledge, no selling your soul yet. That will happen. That will come. At some point, I plan on starting a cult. But you just have to go to dailyside.ai. Let's dive into the stories. From Reddit, one developer built an open source competitor to an $80,000 a year SaaS in just 8.5 hours. The article is nothing new, and the way that this was posited was really cool. I'm going to drop this into the chat just because I found it to be compelling in terms of, getting your creative juices flowing. This person used themselves as a case study, and then was able to outline things like API costs, total time in, and even offered the GitHub repo and his own vibe coding guide. So I thought that was really cool. If you're looking, a lot of people are like, all right, cool. I sort of understand the value proposition here and how do you use it? Here's somebody who actually used it, which I thought was pretty nifty. Um, Story number two, AI Infinite Loop quietly racks up $4,200 bill. I felt this was relevant to small business owners because I promise you this is going to happen to all of us on a long enough timeline. An entrepreneur's AI support agent got stuck in an infinite loop with a CRM, generating a massive bill in a short period. Unmonitored AI agents create unprecedented financial risks. This is one of those downsides that we have to mitigate, y'all. Founders have to prioritize building circuit breakers and kill switches into their AI implementation. I'd be really interested in what happens if you challenge that. Like if I just email Amex and say I'm not paying this because it's, a certain point they have to build in something themselves. I imagine the terms of service speak to that, and I bet you win in the chargeback world. I guess we'll see. From Morning Brew, OpenAI policy blueprint envisions new deal for AI era. Reported on this yesterday. We're talking about it again today. OpenAI has released a policy framework suggesting the government incentivize a 4-day work week. I don't understand why that's relevant. Like, why is that relevant to anything that we're doing right now? Um, I'd love to know from the council, like, why does OpenAI want us to have a 4-day work week? How does that stop the exacerbation of what's happening right now? It also wants to use AI taxes to fund programs like Social Security and SNAP. That makes more sense. It's like, hey, let's tax AI companies and then feed people. The proposal includes a public wealth fund to redistribute returns from AI investments to citizens. This signals that creators of AI anticipate disruption so significant that current social contracts and labor structures will become obsolete. Fun. Fun for all of us. I know that's dystopian in thinking, and we're supposed to stay positive. And man, I just feel like sometimes we have to talk about this stuff. So maybe we start talking about it, as long as it doesn't become too macabre. I think the thing to do there would just be ask what's actionable. For instance, I just bought a septic truck, and I'm starting a septic business. That to me feels really actionable. VC funding concentration, 89% of Q1 capital flows to AI. Shocker, a staggering 89% of the 267 billion in US venture funding last quarter was directed towards AI companies. It's funny because I'm getting mixed signals. I'm getting people saying like, "Oh, venture's moving away from AI and demand seeing returns." And oh, also all of venture funding is going into AI. So who knows what's true? Um, Venture capitalists are the devil. The Economic Times, the tech job openings plummet 8% in 1 month. That's insane. If you really think about that, 8% sounds like a rounding error until you realize that 8% of all the available jobs plummet in a single month. Um, Companies explicitly cite AI as a replacement for headcount rather than a supplement. That's the other thing that I'm sort of surprised by. It's like all I hear is people aren't being able to make AI work, and then also they're firing everybody because AI works. So what's true? A story from AOL.com. Wow, y'all, this really is the dark age. Winter has come, and it's here now. I'm citing AOL. This is great. Goldman Sachs warns of AI scarring effect. Tech workers displaced by AI face permanent scars on their earning potential and long-term pay cuts. I love that this came from AOL. Uh, Displaced roles may never return, necessitating a radical focus on reskilling for founders and employees alike. Y'all, specialization is it's a death rattle. Do not specialize. I dare I say in anything. I'd love to be challenged on that by the council. Some backup stories. The rundown. Reflect Orbital seeks to sell daylight on demand. A startup plans to launch 50,000 satellites with mirrors to redirect sunlight to Earth at night for paying customers. I hate that. It feels so, talk about dystopian. Are you kidding? What if your neighbor pays for it? Um, oh gosh. Uh, the big beautiful bill, IRS updates 1099K thresholds to 20K. New tax provisions trigger backup withholding only after $20,000 in 200 transactions, providing relief for lower scheduled thresholds. I wonder what lobby was behind that. Um, Also, the big beautiful bill, full first year tax deductions for business property. Businesses can now deduct 100% of the cost of qualifying production property in the first year of use. Neil, I'd love to know what production property, like what constitutes production property. A lot of stories today. I'd be interested if I missed anything that you think I should touch on, please feel free to message me. If you're watching this live and you want to join the council, please go to dailysigh.ai. You can join for free. The Zoom link is in the community calendar. I see some live stream attendees. Big Dice, what's up? Nicole, how are you? H. Lil Bobs. I know I said that wrong. Big Dice says it's like a scene from Idiocracy, dude. For real. For real, for real. Let me unmute and open up the council, who I love. There we go. And y'all, we got a handsome little crew here. We got Jason and Jason, the two J's, Neil, Grant, Brandon, Jacob, Clinton, Kai, Elliot. Elliot's always in a new place. Dylan's here. Ionka, I know I mispronounced your name. I'm so sorry. I'd love for you to tell me how to pronounce it. And Zach, I think Ionka and Zach are new. If y'all are willing, we'd love for you to unmute and introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit more about you and why you're here. If you're still figuring out your tech implementation, I still have a little housekeeping. Tomorrow, we have Grant Fullenbach, whose name I'm also probably missing. How do you
Nah,
pronounce your last
nailed
name,
it.
dude? Did I do it?
Yeah, you got it.
Bro, I'm a learned man. I'm traveled and cultured. So it doesn't surprise me at all that, just phonetically, I'm
I think it should be Fuel Lindbach.
Fuhlenbach. Yeah, especially
Fuel in
now.
the back.
Fuel in the back. No, that's too many euphemisms, not enough time. Tomorrow, Grant's talking to us about Notebook LM, which he uses better than any human I've ever encountered personally. That'll be right here, same time. And then Thursday, we've got our boy Alan coming. Elliot, tell me, I know you told me what Alan's talking about, but I haven't read that email yet. So can you tee up Alan for Thursday?
Yeah, absolutely. Alan, who we briefly had a chat back and forth with, has been an advisor for our main fintech company for a while, but his background is in consulting governments on tech regulation, blockchain. But the main thing there is that he's been studying AI for about 25 years. You know, he studied it in South Africa for his university, and he's been keeping an eye on it for quite a while. And so him and I have had a project for the past 4 years or so to really work on some fundamental infrastructure. And so he'll be coming on to answer anybody's questions about the fundamental infrastructure of AI, about their queries on how it works, and also I think we're going to talk a bit on our current thoughts on where it's going to go. So
Love that. Excited to have him join. If you're tuning in, make sure to show up for both of those, Grant and Alan. And I see chat's been a little busy. Clinton asks if he can name his firstborn after me instead of giving me his soul. The answer is absolutely yes. The name Qasim, it's like a boy named Sue, but updated for the 21st century. It's less 9/11 friendly. It gets you in trouble with TSA. There's so many benefits. It's trial by fire. I like the old man giving a warning in the horror movie. Oh, it's like the old man giving a warning. Yeah, the AOL link. It's Neil, this is good. Neil disagrees with no specialization and would be happy to talk about it. Neil, come fight me.
Okay. So I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks for some reason. And, you know, people bitch about AI and how, oh, kids aren't going to learn how to think. And, there's that study out of MIT saying that, when people write essays, that they are not using the same parts of their brain, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, makes him dumber.
Makes them dumber. And that's all sort of true. But, for somebody who is growing up today or in the near future where AI, assistants are going to be everywhere, as far as we can tell, the specialization, I think, will kind of dovetail with just how people gain experience in general is they gain experience with the tool. And that's going to be the thing that matters. And so, all of us are using AI in different ways. I use Notebook LM, but nothing like how Grant does it.
Hmm.
And so, everybody's going to gravitate towards, whatever appeals to their particular makeup of, personality and interests and skills and talents and all that kind of stuff. And just like, when we were kids, all the teachers says, "Oh, you have to know your times tables because you're not going to have a calculator with you." It's like, well, you're wrong, So,
This is one of my favorite memes of all time is DiCaprio in Django. And
uh,
instead of the shot glass, he's holding a cell phone and he's shaking at his teacher. Do you know what I'm talking about?
and I haven't seen that one.
I'll go track it down. But keep going. I'm sorry.
So, and if you look back in the history of education, there's actually a report from like 1860 something of a headmaster of a school in New England complaining about his kids using slates at the desk so they can do arithmetic because they're not going to have a slate with them, when they're walking around town. So it's the exact same thing that has been going on for hundreds of years. Um, and it's just a matter of the context that we are specializing in and gaining experience in changes. And so it's not going to be the same type of specialization, but it will be specialization.
Can we play tennis a little?
Yeah.
Because I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Here's one just maybe foundational nuance I'd like to touch upon. I dislike the argument that every technological innovation has only created more jobs.
Mhm.
While that has been true, the difference between this and every other innovation is every other innovation changed how the work was done. This changes who does the work. So it doesn't matter if this creates more jobs, it's creating more jobs for a different who, and we're no longer the who. And so will more work be created? Yes, absolutely. And will we do it? No, I don't think we will. And I don't think that's what you're saying. So I'm not trying to suck, what is it? Straw man your argument. But
Mhm.
I want to offer that as my premise that I'm operating from. The reason that I'm fighting specialization is because I again I agree with what you're saying as far as like use the tool, you can maintain some level of relevance. We still need to learn how to think and be productive and all those fun things. When I'm referring to specialization, I'm referring to, like, oh, I'm a Ruby on Rails developer. I'm a graphic designer. I'm a journeyman carpenter.
Mhm.
I'm a septic truck driver. Like, I don't think that that exists anymore. I think in my septic company, especially when robotics catches up, it's not necessarily that I won't need people per se. It's that you don't just get to be a driver. I need you to show up. And if today you're a driver and tomorrow you're a pumper and the day after that you're maintenance and the day after that you're fixing the robot and the day after that you're just, answering the phones, I think what we need are really motivated generalists because it'll be the machines doing the specialization. And then it'll be the people, the machines become the bricks and the people become the mortar. And the mortar's the more important, right? Like bricks without mortar, you don't have a structure. And I think that the specialization piece is what's going to get people killed, metaphorically speaking. Would you challenge that?
I would, because, human talents are what they are. And, you know, being a jack of all trades has an appeal, especially as the tools get better and more generalized. But even like today, who was on yesterday with the blueprint reading AI system? Um,
Oh yeah, I know who
I'm
you're talking
blanking on
about.
his
He was
name.
new.
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
was Kyle. I think it was Kyle.
Okay, Kyle.
yeah.
We'll assume Kyle for the purpose of this conversation, so whether or not that's correct. Um, so, Kyle has obviously developed skills in reading blueprints and working with CADs and all these kinds of things. And so that skill set is going to generalize in a different way
Hmm.
than a different skill set. So he's still specialized in his field of doing things, but
Hmm.
the application is multifaceted, where in the past it's been kind of single lane. I think that's the piece that changes.
So no, this is great, dude. What we're doing is we're defining terms because it's like specialization when applied to a field, an avatar, an industry, or even a geography. Um, and I wonder too, is that specialization? Because for me, specialization has always meant like if you can put letters behind your name, it basically means that metaphorically speaking, you learned a tool. It's, I know how to swing this very special hammer, and now I get to be a hammer specialist. And I know and like what you're saying. I think I agree with it. Dylan, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, notice that you didn't say today you will drive the truck, tomorrow you will weld a pipe underwater, tomorrow you will knit me a blanket, the next day you will send all my emails. They were all related to the industry. They were all related to uh, mechanical things, fixing things,
Hmm.
driving things, operating machinery and pumping. So, I don't know. I feel like that's probably somewhere between specialization and generalization, depending on your definitions of each. But I think that there is a general direction. It's not spanning out in all directions.
Well, I think that's what Neil's saying too. It's like it's still a focused endeavor, focused on a industry or thing or end result. Um, and so specialization in these terms might be goal oriented, not task oriented. Maybe that's what we're talking about too, is task oriented specialization. Because the Ruby on Rails developer, like that concept is gone. If you really, and which is crazy because that was actually the most aspirational concept. I'm a radiologist, right? AI beats radiologists 1,000 times out of 1,000. Um, as a matter of fact, at this point, having a human radiologist is actually dangerous. Um, you might need one for insurance and risk mitigation, but you want the AI. You don't want the human radiologist because there's so much more error prone. So that's a specialization. Um, Jason?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where this will land. I, as a guy who went into the military, enlisted with no college degree, went to college at 22, got a nursing degree, tried entrepreneurship, doing real estate. I've done a little bit of it all. And what I have found is that is actually what has helped me because I've had this eclectic experience of things and I've been able to see, well, that part about critical care works and I can put this in real estate and overlay the military part on it. So I think what I'm saying is I lean towards self-identifying this is who I am and this is the only thing I do. That's the danger, I think, versus saying this is what I currently do and I do it well.
Mhm.
However, I am not wed to it if I have to pivot right now and move off. And to your point, Kasim, about the radiologist, I have a buddy who is a nurse anesthetist for anybody who knows what they are.
Yeah, I got a cousin who's a nurse and who's a Marine too. It feels like
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of service people go into that for some reason. I don't know why.
So here's what's funny about it. So very, very, very good, high demand, six-figure salary, and I am trying to convince I mean, he's like a brother to me. His name is Jason as well. Hey man, you should take a look at this AI stuff and get into it. And he's like, no, I do anesthesia. And I'm like,
Not for long.
what? Like what?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Because he spent so much time and money in that craft, right? He doesn't want to abandon it. And I understand it, but so I don't know if that makes any sense to it contributes to the conversation, but
Dude, I think
um,
this is one of the more important conversations we can have, that we're talking to a labor market about how to continue to be relevant. And so, yeah, Jacob, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, as we're talking today, it sounds like we're doing something like a generalist with an emphasis on something. How do we stay a generalist, but a focused generalist? Like, how do you stay a focused generalist?
So Dylan brought this up. There's something Ryan Dice used to reference the T-shaped marketer, and I think he stole this T-shape from some other discipline. But that to me was always the T-shape. You go super broad on everything and then really deep on one or two things. The reason I don't feel like this applies is I think that the base of the T needs to be able to move. It's almost like a transient T. Like if you're willing to be a transient T, like today, I'm just going to know more about I don't know what AEO than any human in the world because that happens to be the most important thing for my business at the moment. Until I crack that code or build the mechanisms that do it, and then I need to be able to move on. But I think that the luxury of staying there, because I think, and somebody again, correct me if I'm wrong, and stop me if we're getting too philosophical. Yeah, I want this to feel like progress. And I actually do feel the tension that I'm feeling right now, I think is important. It's like we haven't nailed this, but it's important. I think that the base of the T in the T-shaped paradigm is static. And I feel like if we are going to go with the T-shaped anything, the base needs to be transient. And it's almost like on a semi-regular basis, you need to pick up this stake out of the ground and go plant it somewhere else. Jason?
Yeah, I like where this is going. Something that Jason mentioned as it reminded me of Scott Adams would always just describe the your talent stack. Thought it was
Mm,
just the greatest description because he would describe himself of like, oh, there's a billion people who know about business, a billion people who can draw cartoons, a billion people who are kind of funny, but there are very few really funny, smart business people who can draw cartoons, who have the, there's a stack there. And to to both of your point, Jason and you, Casa, like you're in control of that and you should be flexible with that. But that becomes a unique specialization, as it were,
mm.
that are of these different things. So it's a nice little hybrid of, oh yeah, there's a generalist nature to this, and like you're talking about with the base of that T, you're kind of staying fluid with, oh, all of a sudden now this AI stuff is coming. Well, let me layer that into my stack as well, and maybe one little piece of it. And now there's nobody that compete with me that's this, and this. So
Dude, I think that again, it goes back to speaking to the end result. Like I used to generate motivated seller leads for real estate investors. So if you like you've seen the sign on the sides of the road, we buy ugly houses, sell your house fast for cash, that type of thing. And we were really, really good at it. And the thing that was always interesting to me was it had nothing to do with Google Ads. Because Google Ads stopped working, I could go do direct mail or door knockers or bandit signs or, dial for dollars or bird dogs. And everybody kept the implication was, oh, well, you got because it was me and my business partner Greg Bilbro, and Bilbro was the real estate guy. I was the digital guy, and so all these people were talking to Bilbro about like, oh, well, you've got that nerd, and that's why you guys are so good at the lead gen. And I'm like, dude, I'm solution agnostic, and they didn't realize how solution agnostic we were. They just assumed that I was doing nothing but Google Ads, and the Google Ads helped a lot, but it was everything else that we were constantly willing to push and press on. And so, in the world of specialization, was I a Google Ads specialist? Yes. And we had the highest performing real estate investment campaign in the United States for 7 years. And I promise you that Google was not, the majority of the time wasn't the primary lever that we were pulling. We were staying really diverse in the execution. And so I think what I hear you saying, Jason, is like the specialization in that instance would be motivated seller leads. But the way we think about specialization, we think about the input. Oh, that's what it is. Specialization is no longer the input, it's the output. You can still you can still have specialization from an output perspective, but specialization from an input perspective that's what ends up getting eaten. That's where it's dangerous. How do y'all feel about that?
I agree with it. That's I lost it the other day. That's almost like being a MacGyver of myself,
Mm,
right? Didn't matter. MacGyver would, kill you with a tube of toothpaste. I'm,
yeah,
I'm
I'm gonna
being
fix it no matter
embellishing
what.
there.
Yeah.
Right. But like, because my kids, they were like, well, we can't do it, Dad. And I'm like, of course we can. You're just looking at the tools you have on hand here. Who says that you can't use this just because it's labeled for something else? Does it
Yeah.
work? Yes. Then run it, dog. So, and maybe that's what keeps us from being commoditized as individuals.
Dude, that's the thing that's really interesting about obviously this is damaging for the labor force. I think for entrepreneurs, people that really want to solve problems. It's like you have an unlimited labor force. You have an army, as many as you want to build. Um, and it's even overwhelming to think about. It's like, what would you do with that? And so, if you really want to accomplish something, that's what's so funny, dude, is, and no, there's not been any business I've ever set out to build. Well, that's not true now. No business have I ever been successful in where I actually set out to do something. I didn't set out to like make an electric car, and I didn't set out for a goal. I was just like, I wonder what people will pay me for. And then I kind of like sort of just backed into like, oh, they're paying for, and then you narrow it down. But I think I'm more of a parasite, and I don't even mean that as a pejorative. I mean that like as a, and like it's almost literal, right? Like parasites find a host, and that's what the businesses I build are parasitic because I'm looking for the margin and I'm looking for the opportunity. I think parasitic entrepreneurs go by the wayside, and I think it's like the inventors, the dreamers, the like those are the people that this is really built for. Neil, you got your hand up?
Yeah. I think the thing that you are kind of saying is obsolete, and which I would agree with, is going to some kind of formal education process to learn more and more about less and less.
Mm,
So if you are in some field where you know, go to, this college program and this graduate school and then this training program and then this and all those things are trying to teach you a set of rules in a context, whether that's law or medical or whatever. But as it turns out, the AI agents that have been built are really, really, really good at following rules within a context. And so
mm,
that meta skill becomes less and less valuable. Um, so like, with radiologists or pick your field. If you are investing so much time into developing that specialization in that sense of the word, then yeah, in the next 10 years, those will be, I don't know, completely obsolete, but largely
hmm
obsolete. Dylan says you're a lichen, not a parasite.
I
So,
saw that. Thank you, Dylan, very much for coming to my defense. I appreciate you. Um,
They coined the term symbiotic relationship to explain lichens. Before that, they did not believe that a relationship could exist in nature that was not that was beneficial to both parties. They called it a positive parasitic relationship when they first discovered that the algae and the fungi. Or don't get me started on fungi. I could spend the whole rest of the
is that
30
because you're
I
in
could spend
witchcraft?
33 more minutes. No. It's a it's a special interest.
My son told me about fish that clean other fish's teeth. Like there are fish that will like swim up and open their mouths, and then another fish will come and they'll like eat whatever's on their teeth. Um, I like lichen better. I don't want to be a dental fish, but I don't know why that popped in my head. Jacob, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a pin down on this. Do you think the problem is like labels? Like for instance, not just for other people, but for ourselves. Like I have to say, if I'm doing something like I'm a filmmaker, like that's my
Mm,
label. And but with AI, I can do so many things that the AI is really the generalist. Do you think that it's something to do with labels, where the way that we've been taught now it's kind of changing rapidly, and we're just not educated or indoctrinated, trained to understand this new thing that's coming in? Like
dude,
there's
I interrupted you. I'm sorry. Keep going.
no, it just sounds like an integration issue.
Well, the film is the perfect example. It's because there's 1,000 moving parts on every film set. And here's what's really interesting about film. I've been in 80 films. I don't know if y'all know that. Uh there's not very many stories that they're telling about 12-foot tall Pakistanis, so they're all horrible. But I tried to do it for a long, long time. Like that was my passion. And the thing that always struck me as interesting on a film set is how inefficient it is, because most of the people are doing nothing most of the time. Your key grip and your cinematographer and your direct, like, and most of them are doing nothing most of the time. Even your most important roles, the cinematographer
Right.
is a really good example, is idle the majority of the time because you have to wait for everything else. In a post AI world, cinematographer is a good example, sound engineer, gaffer, Foley, whatever. Every one of those roles can, something like 60, 70, 80% of them can be accomplished by AI. So for you to come to set and say, oh, I'm just a cinematographer, it's like, well, I don't have the budget for just a cinematographer. Because AI does most of that. Now, if you want to fill in the gaps where it doesn't do that, you can do that. But I'm going to need you to do, grip and lighting and whatever, whatever too.
Can we just say real quick, because I don't know if most people understand the necessity of these roles on a film. Like this lighting I have set up right now to get this done on every shot from a gaffer and grip and G&E.
Oh,
It takes so much time and so much work. I mean, this would take an hour or two to set up. And I mean, like I worked on the student film last weekend, 2 weekends ago. It was 29 people. And like you said, most people are just sitting around. And in a paid world, if they were, paid on a set, they're getting paid for their time. And
right.
it's a ton of waste because there's nothing for them to do. Once I set up, like I'm working First AC on that. And basically, First AC is the one who helps set up the camera, and I'm going to pull focus. And then you have your cinematographer or your camera operator who's behind the camera, and then you have a second AC who's running the slate. Like you have so many moving parts and so many of these things, but they are all so essential. You cannot make a film without them.
They're all
And it
critical until they're not.
Exactly. And it
Yeah.
costs so much money. And that's one of the things I am so fired up. Me and Dylan were on a call yesterday for like 2 hours, and we were supposed to build something together. And Dylan's like, actually, after talking to you, I think you should go this direction. I was like, actually, it's kind of funny. I was looking at that. I'm so fired up because for the first time in history, people can actually afford high production value stuff that
Mm.
is generated for them, or it's a hybrid. Maybe you have like a photo or a video and it can help adjust the lighting for you. And it happens real time sometimes. Like Zoom has some light stuff, but it can finally to where like a plumber could have a picture of him done, and then AI could generate it into professional, and he doesn't have to pay $300 or $400 to do that. He could have some ads that are ran to where it's like he's doing something, but then the AI, spruces it up or changes it or whatever. It's so much more accessible to whereas before you have to pay tens and tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this stuff.
Hmm. Elliot, you've got your hand up?
Yeah, absolutely. But it is a new topic, so please let me know if
I
you'd like to
think we
continue on that.
this is something we're going to revisit forever. Is this question of like what is the new role or collection of roles, especially as we're building businesses. So I feel like I have a lot more clarity anyway, as far as specialization still exists in the output, but not as much as the input. That I feel is what's being cannibalized. And if you're watching this, I think that actually offers a lot in the way of action item. If you're seeing an output, feel free, dive in deep. But if you're seeing an input, I would caution you against specialization from an input perspective. So I think that brings it home. Elliot, new topic, go.
So I actually think this is some of the most important news we've had in a while. And it's all to do with a bit of additional news that's coming out today on the new Anthropic model, Claude Mythos. Um, Essentially, from what I've gathered of the information that's come out today, and Dylan, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm sure you've been reading up on it as well. Um, this model has found 0-day vulnerabilities in every single major operating system and every major web browser, fully autonomously, with no human guidance. It's found its way outside of remote code execution bugs. It's found its way into 27-year-old vulnerability bugs that nobody found in certain OSs that are famous for security. And they have made apparently the decision to, believe it or not release it publicly.
Hmm.
And instead, they've created what's called Project Glasswing with AWS, Apple, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, CrowdStrike, and others who have all collectively committed to 100 million to use it defensively for security. But it's absolutely blown Opus out of the water with all of the benchmarks. And I think it definitely means that we will have to be very aware of what's coming in terms of security as well.
So conspiracy theory opinion, there is no way that they don't have models that are 2, 3, 4, and 5 standard deviations better than what's public. There's no way. And they're holding it back. Dylan's shaking his head.
There's interviews where basically they did not want to release Claude Code because they
Mm.
believed that it gave their developers an advantage over others, and they were very hesitant to release that, but they did anyway. So um
Yeah, but that's what I
I don't
say.
think they're
I
holding
say
much
that. Go
back.
watch every sales pitch I've ever made on Facebook. I'm like, man, I really shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to anyway. Like that's just good PR.
This was a one of the inhuman robots that is not capable of marketing speak. He was genuinely uh uncomfortable about whether Claude Code was released or not. Also, just the cost to train one,
Mm.
um, and the marketing wave you get from releasing a new model and putting out these, uh, we scored 100 on the test we made up ourselves things, I don't think that things are being held back.
Hmm. Neil, you got your hand up.
Yeah. So I didn't see that report about Mythos. I saw some other things today. And, you know, maybe I'm just old and cynical, but anytime I see any kind of uh, thing where somebody's claiming something about, oh, we did this study with this AI, if I can't see the entire history of whatever that process was, I do not believe you.
Hmm.
Just because it's so easy to either get it to hallucinate in the way you want, or it's answering some other thing that you can then interpret and spin into a fun news article. So yeah, I'm just totally skeptical of the whole thing. But I might just be a curmudgeon. So, there's that.
Dude, I'm equally curmudgeonly. I curmudgeon hard. Like
Yeah.
I at this point in life. And I have reason to do so. Like we saw that working with Google. Y'all remember Google's ambassador program? Like I used to have Google high level reps that were there for us and there to shepherd us and there to hold our hands and to tell us about all these new releases. And the amount of times that what they told us was going to happen it diverged from what actually happened, but like to 180 degrees. And it couldn't have been an accident. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden they unveil the thing and it's the exact opposite of what they told us, but somehow they got us all to line up in the exact same formation that would have been necessary for it to be executed on anyway. And then it was like a oops, sorry, that happened by accident. I don't know. I'm also a curmudgeon. Um, and the other thing that occurs to me is this really is moving very fast. And if you're in a space race, you don't have time to necessarily play games as much as you just need to ship. So I don't know. Um, I want to circle up on what uh, Brandon was asking for Ilanka. Uh, Brandon, I've not gotten a response from Sunit. I don't know why. Apparently, he doesn't love me.
Hey, Lanka. Lanka's on here too now as well. And
Hey,
I got her to
Ilanka.
join the group.
Hello. It took me a sec to figure out how to turn turn the camera and the microphone on, so I apologize.
You're
Yeah.
good. Thanks for being here.
Thank you
Lanka's also
for
a
the
veteran.
invite, Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely. Lanka's a veteran as well
Yep.
Nice.
and works in finance and banking. And
Brandon was singing your
she,
praises yesterday. He says that you've invented something nobody else has invented. It has a massive market. Nobody's done it. Everybody needs it. And he wouldn't tell us what the hell it was. It was the most
I
cryptic
know because
conversation I've ever heard. I thought I was buying into an MLM. If you get
yeah,
two friends and they get two friends, we're really going to make an impact here.
then everybody will get a prize at
Yeah.
closing, right? Gift with purchase. So yeah, it's been super interesting and listening, and I look forward to kind of taking that idea to another level, once I understand how to move it forward. But I remember listening, and I'm not sure who it was that said it's all in the sell, in the pitch, and the person that has to believe in it. And I definitely believe in it, and I just need to figure out how to make it move forward. I ran away from the circus, so I've done a few things in that time frame and in the business space. And I don't know, I feel like I am in the toddler pool right now, and I'm just happy to sit here and listen to you guys and
We're,
learn.
we're making it up as we go. I did just hear back from Sunny. He said that it's a travel day, but I'm going to figure out how to get y'all connected. I think
thank you.
he's definitely the
Thank
one.
you.
Um, and if he doesn't know somebody, he'll know who. Uh, but yeah, I'm rooting for you, and I'm
Thank you.
excited about whatever it is that y'all are building. The
I
cryptic project.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cryptic.
Yeah,
It'll be fun.
you got to know when it's safe to be able to speak about certain things, and like I said, if we ever go to the after 6 o'clock hours or something like that, and And I know that Grant has made a really good headway on the website that he's building for council hours, which is really cool.
So, dude, I love that. You know, sweet. I was thinking I was thinking about it today, actually. I was looking for somebody to host for me because it's my kid's birthday and I don't want to hang out with you guys. Uh, and I was like, we should have a WhatsApp thread because then we could like talk about all the news before the call, and then that would help inform me and keep us everybody up to date. I wouldn't commit to it like any activity at all. I hope that's okay to say, but it would be good, like just to have when we want to have it. I don't know if y'all are open for it.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, we'll figure that out too. Brandon, I'm gonna connect you with Sunit, and then you can take it from there.
Thank you.
All right. Hit me in school if you don't mind, dude. The connection's gonna be via SMS, so just send me your cell phone number in school because that's the best way to do that. If you're comfortable with that, assuming. All right.
100%. Thank you.
Jason, you have your hand up.
I'm sorry, I want to clear. Did you say today is your birthday for one of your children?
Yes,
And
my 8-year-old, my
I
boy
I
Ronan.
think we have enjoyed the time with you today because my daughter's birthday is tomorrow, and maybe we can just pick this up at another time and be thankful for
Oh, I love you a lot, dude. I
the
appreciate that.
contributions.
He's upstate. He's happy because he's getting screen time that he wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So I
Okay.
negotiated a certain amount of screen time. So I've negotiated myself into being able to hang out with y'all. But I do appreciate that a lot. We went to Bam Kazam today. Do y'all have Bam Kazam in your city? You know what I'm talking about? It's like an arcade, picture an arcade, but all the arcade games aren't digital, they're real, and you're the player. And they're like super intricate, and you have to they're kind of it's like escape room-esque, but like interactive, and I don't know. It was so much fun. Um, and I'm too old to do things like that. So now I'm in egregious amounts of pain.
Hey, Kasim, I kind of jumped the shark on about the birthday thing. I wanted to honor that first, but I had another question tied to what we were talking about for Ilanka. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And then Brandon, you mentioned about when is it the right time to talk about it. Kasim, what is your approach to when you have a unique product or idea to guard your IP that we may not be considering, like
I don't have one. Somebody who could speak to that, I think, well, is Elliot. Elliot worked with a gentleman who I think is probably one of the top two IP thought leaders in the world. Um, when I was a young man, I used to worry about that, and now I don't. I'm just like, if I get to it and I can execute and I can make it happen, I do. And if I can't, it is what it is. I'm working on something right now, actually, with Elliot. That's like, I think this whole time I'm like, oh God, I hope nobody does it first. And it's been what, 3 years now, dude, and we're still, so we're tokenizing real estate, and we're tokenizing real estate in a way that'll do a number of things all at once, including create a secondary market, allow for debt and equity raises simultaneously, all sorts of stuff, and it's unique, and like I thought it was a race, and it's not because nobody else is really doing it the way that we're doing it. So. I don't know, man. I think the stories of like getting your ideas stolen are few and far between. I think, and maybe that's naive of me to say. It sounds stupid as I'm saying it out loud, but um, it's just such a hard thing to execute upon. It's like Pascal's wager. It's like even if it's not true, you should act as though it is because otherwise, what are you going to do? Especially if you don't have massive amounts of money or, an IP attorney at your beck and call. Elliot, you've got your hand up. Can you speak to that a little?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. Actually, it reminds me of a thing you told me quite a few years ago now, which was that one of your strategies is buy a domain name and then sit on it for a while and see if it's still a good idea after a few months. But um, I would add to that that if you genuinely think it's a really solid idea, it's an incredibly cheap thing to do just to file a generalized PPA in America. USPTO PPA is a micro entity, you're talking a couple $100. That gives you a year of protection. My main involvement in IP was licensing those ideas then to larger companies. So you get a year of protection, you can then leverage that license to pay for your full patent as well. But it
We've got
depends what it
a
is. It depends on what it is. I highly recommend if you're interested in doing IP and playing that game. Stephen Key is the gentleman Kasim mentioned. He's got a book called One Simple Idea. I would get the version that's made for businesses. That's a bit less fluffy. Um, and yeah, it's it's a really easy thing to do is just pick up a PPA. If you think it's genuinely unique, you'll want to do a prior art search, but it's something that means you can say you've got patent pending as well when you're in discussions, and then often their lawyers won't take the risk because they don't have access to that document. Nobody gets to see the PPA once you've filed it. So
I've got a
unless they
buddy.
explicitly you allow them to.
I didn't mean to step on you, Elliot. I have a friend, Tim Bratton. Tim Bratton was the founder of Rhapsody, which I think is now Spotify. Bratton's done 3 9-figure businesses, an IPO, reverse IPO. He's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant guy. He created this thing called Patent Geyser. So what Elliot's talking about, I think what you're talking about is provisional patents, correct? Tim's got an AI tool that helps you create provisional patents, not without an attorney. The recommendation is that you go through an attorney, but what this does is it helps you do all the legwork on the front end, so you're not paying $900 an hour, which is what I'm currently paying my SEC attorney. And he's slow, y'all. He's so infuriatingly slow, and he's old, and he speaks slowly, and he moves slowly. So if there's something you can do to get out ahead of that, that's really, really helpful. And I'm a believer because I've heard Tim say it. I've never been able to do it, but dude, I swim in such a small pond, like I've never built anything that needed real patent protection until now. So Ilanka, I'm rooting for you. Brandon, you prick. Brandon's posting clips of me into chat. That's so funny. How do I kick Brandon out of the Zoom?
Short hair, that's you, huh?
Back in
That's
the
so
day,
great.
man. Yeah, that was pre-midlife crisis for sure.
We had to dig for those.
Yeah, that's so
Is
funny. I had my employees at Solutions 8 used to share clips of these horrible movies I was in. I was in a film with Sarah Chalk. It was how I got my SAG card. I had a collection of lines back and forth with her. And it was just the cringiest scene in the world. And if anybody really ever wanted to make a brown man turn like just pale green, that's how they would do it. They'd always, anytime, that's how I knew they were mad at me.
Hey, Elliot, would you do a PPA on a product that's like real estate matching and pairing in like if it's not
Uh,
necessarily
so
technology
so
or all
it, it
technology?
the most important information I can give you there is after 2016, I believe it was, it became really difficult to protect software, and a lot of those protections are starting to roll back a little bit. There were some cases that created some really problematic laws around. Because I mean, you may all be aware, but lots of companies did lots of different protections around software, and the USPTO realized that it was a very, very stupid thing to allow them to do things like patent one-click checkout. Um, because then that started really adding up for these mega companies. So when it comes to software, when it comes to platforming, when it comes to methods of business, it gets a lot more complicated than physical products. And that's where I would really suggest finding an attorney. And like Sim said, just be very, very careful because I would actually argue, and attorneys can shoot me if you want, but most of them are there to because they have genuinely got the incentive to waste your time
Right.
and promise you the world. So you really have to be smart about how you spend your money. Um, I will say this, Sim said use an attorney, make sure you use an attorney for a PPA. If it's a physical product, I'm pretty comfortable saying that like you can shoot from the hip a little bit because you can always file multiple PPAs if you need to, because it's a very powerful thing to be able to say you've got patent pending and have a massive question mark above your head. But yeah, it gets a lot more complicated when it's software. So that's what I would say for that.
Yeah, this is more like service matching. It would need a software or need a website for it, but not necessarily a full integrated technology model. I mean, it would be a full business model and
So,
still
so
require
if you want
humans.
protection of a system like that, it has to be around the technology. You're almost never going to get it issued for a method of business.
Okay, that's
So,
good.
so, so, so if there's a pattern matching system you can build around that, and that people can't build workarounds for, that's what you need to look at. Is an actual system, a technology that you've invented that enables that.
Yeah. And if not, you just build it without protection basically and start building and just know competition is going to enter, right? Because you can't patent a pizza restaurant,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could. They patented the stuffed crust, didn't they? Pizza Hut was in litigation for years over that. Like little things like that, I think are patentable.
Yeah.
Y'all, I just created a community in WhatsApp for the Daily Sigh. The link is in the chat. Um, Feel free to join. This is a great place, I think, for us to just talk about random odds and ends before and after. If you can identify yourself after having joined, that would be really helpful too, because then we can add everybody and figure out who, what, when, where, how. I also see that we've got some newbies. Steve Nelson just joined. Steve, if you want to introduce yourself, feel free. You don't have to. I don't want to put you on the spot. And Zach, we have yet to hear from you either. So if you want to introduce yourself, feel free. Otherwise, we have 10 minutes. Oh, Steve's here. What's up, buddy?
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you, man? I'm glad you're here. Tell us, how'd you find us? Why are you here?
I
What do we
don't
need
know
to
if
know
I've
about
got
you?
the video going. One second, I'm trying to get the video going. I'm on my phone, so it's a bit hard.
Nothing yet, but once you figure it out, let us know.
Okay.
Only admins can send messages. I don't know how to fix that, dude. I need my EA in here.
I'm ready. You got me?
Yeah, we've got you. What's up, buddy?
Hey guys. Yeah, I spent the weekend on my tractor working, listening to catching up on a heap of your YouTube these daily sighs. They've been fantastic. And I just wanted to join to help me fight the AI onslaught that's coming. So yeah, I'm learning a lot, and hoping to find some collaborations moving forward. But I'm just a small newbie to it all, so I'm just watching at this stage.
Love it, man. I appreciate you being brave and hopping in. What do you do?
So we've just created a new business called Mindshift Mentors, and we basically partner with different experts and create. We do cognitive pattern reprogramming, which is a form of like therapies for sleep, stress, ADHD, and so on. But we partner with specialists in, say, ADHD for kids, and we build programs where we do our strategic hypnotherapy sessions, and they do their movement exercises, and we're trying to grow these communities to try and make ourselves AI a bit proof, do you know what I mean, by having communities based around what we teach and do. And then we've also got lots of different programs to help with simple things like sleep and stress and anxiety. And yeah, it's all there's a lot going on, and I'm just trying to get my head around which way to go and how to make it take off.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're here. I hope we can help.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be reaching out at some stage shortly. I'll just to give you a better outline of what we're doing, and then you might be able to hook me up with someone. Or
Yeah, well, you're in the right place, man. The council here so far, I think
yeah,
we've been cooking.
it's gold, mate. It's gold. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
appreciate that a
well
lot.
done for putting it all together. It's awesome.
Dude, I was just solving my own problem, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
But so far, I'm pretty excited about what we've done.
yeah,
And
for sure.
if you're watching this live, we've got a lot of live viewers. I see Freddie, Elise, Mrs. Vargas, Simply Holmes, Nab the Third, Honest Hygienist. We need an honest hygienist. Someone who's willing to tell you smell. What a great handle. Billy Bob's, Amigo Marketing, it's Joel. A beer, what's up, a beer? Why aren't you here, fool? Craig, Nazar, Tansy. Y'all can head into the Zoom anytime you want. Just go to dailyside.ai. Council, we've got 5 minutes. How do we make this the most productive 5 minutes of the day? Who has just the mic dropper? What's the action item? Dylan.
I
It's
just
always
dropped
Dylan.
something in text and chat there. We were talking about yesterday about Andres Karpathy.
Oh, is this
where
his auto
somebody-
research thing?
Yeah, it's a GitHub
Yeah.
repo. I scanned it and a couple of different times, so it's where there's no malware there, at least not from my runs. But please, somebody else double check me on it.
That's his knowledge graph thing, but he is the guy who invented auto research. He's just doing a lot. He's spending like 16 hours a day just doing AI agent things. He was one of the founders of OpenAI.
Mm. Didn't he have a bunch of pissing matches on Twitter with Altman, though?
I don't know.
Dylan, you
Yeah, you
had your
remember
hand
because I
up for
think he went to
something.
Tesla and is doing like neural networks there now or something like that. I'm not quite sure where he is, but you might be right on that. But somebody basically, whatever he said that it had X ablaze, Somebody went out and made it, and seems to be clean.
Mm. This is awesome, man. Thanks for the share. Dylan, your hand went up.
Yeah, yesterday you started off by talking about a software developer who was disgruntled about AI. And then I think Grant finished by showing exactly why software developers are so disgruntled. I said, like you have competition. And then I did the whole, the TikTok sound that's like, let me sit my stupid ass down. Like, I just now I can transition to just giving Grant his flowers. Like the just not just the software, but the cleverness of being able to like populate it from the YouTube videos, which he has in a Notebook LM already, and like connect all of that in like 15 minutes, and it
Yeah.
looks nice, and I can log into it and fill out a profile and all of that. Like it's very impressive and I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Cosmo, imagine if you were still paying off your septic truck and Grant was like, "Hey guys, I made a septic truck." Like, and it's just way nicer than Cosmos, and it was in 15 minutes, and it cost a $29 a month um subscription. Like it's a lot of people. Jason earlier mentioned on the topic of specialization identity. And I
Mm.
think that was really important, and that it's not just about specialization, but it's about saying I am this.
Mm-hmm.
So for the people that say I am a software developer and like their identity is wrapped up in that, and that's like it's an air of superiority, like
Oh, dude,
it's
no question. Every letter after every name is. It's the only reason you put it there. It's such a brilliant point. Yeah.
and now that's like crumbling in front of them, and they're desperately trying to hang on, and you had said that like the senior developer is going to lose his job, and I don't think so. I think that the senior developers will be the one to keep their jobs if they embrace, because they're the ones who are able to like you just replace the people with the AI. Like you to manage AI agents, you have to be able to manage. Like you have to be able to tell people what to do in a much more precise way than you would tell a human. Um, to like Actually, I shouldn't say that because the humans have the same capability for misunderstandings and ambiguity. But yeah, um, I thought that was just an interesting little microcosm of this whole AI revolution wrapped up into an hour.
I think I disagree softly, respectfully, and lovingly. Here's why. The idea that the senior developer is the one that we would keep because there still needs to be a human managing things uh, assumes that the senior developer has the skills that would be most important to the remainder of that process. And I don't think that's the case. I think that it's the delineation is hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are coding, and the soft skills are, it'd be problem solving, uh, alchemy in every degree, um, politicking, bureaucracy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I actually think the senior developers, generally speaking, worse at all of those things. And what the senior developer is best at is the one thing that they're going to try to fight the computer on repeatedly. And I'm seeing this in our EA boot camp. We run a boot camp every 2 to 3 months at Pareto Talent to get more executive assistants. And at the risk of sounding horribly ageist, and I don't think it has anything to do with age, I think it has to do with experience. The more experience somebody has, the harder they are to train to be a good EA, because good EAs are generalists, and there's there's this kind of this idea of like, well, what's my job description? It's like we don't have one. I'm teaching you to solve problems, and you just need to solve any problem that comes in through the door. And people with experience feel like they need to be above that. So, and maybe that's what you're saying, Dylan. Like if the senior developer can stop being above that, maybe they become the best of both worlds.
The thing that AI is good at coding, it's not yet good at software. The
Mm.
architecting, the connecting of the modules, the like arrangement of everything is um that's what's still missing. And like just to so I have been, improving my AI use through using shorter threads. It's I'm getting better performance, but just today it was following a red herring. Like it
Mm.
was telling me that the problem was that the data was too short.
Hmm.
But whenever it was, some of the characters were um stored as zero width. And so whenever you have a longer string and it degrades towards the end, is it really because you don't have data that's long and is able to teach it how to make long? Or is it because when you have a longer string, it has more zero width characters? And so towards the end, it degrades more because there's more mistakes within it. Um, it's if I had just not thought about it and let it continue to solve this problem, it would have never solved it, I don't think. I haven't verified whether, it was one or the other, but like it didn't come up with one of those. It came up with the other. Uh,
Is it?
so yeah.
It's just it sounds like AI can play a violin, but it cannot compose an orchestra type of thing, right? Um, yeah, I think that's a great point. I was gonna say before I just want to say I'm so excited about Grant's Notebook LM tomorrow. I was literally earlier, I was like so fired up because I mean it's absolutely incredible. I was thinking about this yesterday and today too, about how much of a blessing it was that I was hospitalized and I was bedridden so long because I grew up working very hard with my hands and doing things. But for the first time in my life, nothing worked, and I was like stuck in a bed for months. And I was like, man, you have to ask yourself, the could or the could and the should. So I
Hmm.
could do this, but should I do this myself? And that was the first time that through necessity, I was like, wow, what if this happens again? Like, you know what I mean? So it's very limited when you're just working with your hands and doing things all yourself, and you think that you feel like you have power and control, but power and control is just an illusion. And so I think that's what's amazing with this AI stuff. So I said all that to say, Grant, I'm absolutely fired up to see because I've only played around with Notebook LM a little bit, and I mean, right off the first time I used it, I was like, "Oh my God, this is insane!" Before, could you share that link again to what Dylan was saying about? I think you shared it a couple weeks ago when we had it. I know I pulled it up.
Which one? Oh, the
Uh,
Daily Sigh notebook? That one?
I think so. It was when I pulled it up. I just want to take a look at it because I would never find it in my history. It was a week or two ago. A lot of things have happened since then.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Dude, here's a drum I like to beat that Dylan already touched on is uh Grant's ability to execute on the task from yesterday was built on capture of data that predated him knowing he would need it. I said that poorly. But like Grant started building this notebook LM with all the daily sighs and everybody who's coming with, I imagine, an inclination that it was going to be valuable, but he didn't know exactly how he was going to act on it or execute on it. And then when it became necessary to go back, would have been hours and hours and hours worth of work, but he already had it. And so this goes back to my new favorite topic, which I think in a post AI world, the most important thing for all of us to build is a second brain or Jacob's third brain. Like just having all of your data, whoever captures the most is the most equipped human to then execute. And the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Like start right now today. Just capture freaking everything. We should all be wearing that stupid ass pendant and every meeting and call that we're on. Like all of it should be synthesized in some way, even if it's being captured poorly. Elliot, you got your hand up?
Yep, just wanted to briefly say, yeah, ultimately I totally agree with that as well, and that where this is going to go is everybody for different use cases of LLMs are going to have ontologies of knowledge connected to them in order to guide them and have them do exactly what their purpose is. But I wanted to go back to your point and Dylan's point about will we have senior software engineers? Will we get rid of them because they're too stuck in their ways? I think we have to differentiate there with the use cases of AI between complex, innovative software and technology that's been done before used in new ways. Um, I think the more innovative the software, the more need for high skill senior software devs.
Mm,
But on the other end, where it's technology that's been done enough that the AI has that breadth of understanding, minimal guidance will be needed. So I think we're going to see both, but in two different types of technology.
I think that's a good place to. How do y'all feel? How's this going so far? Let me ask you this. Let's get really uncomfortable. Uncomfortable for you, not for me. What can we do better? Like, what sucks about the Daily Sigh? More guardrails, more topics, more guests, less of those things, Jacob?
I just think like I'm speaking for myself here, for me, because I like to say my head is up in the clouds, right? I don't have a lot of solidified things, but I think it's important to have actionable items because action is the sole thing that matters the most, no matter what you think or do. And
Mm.
so just trying to figure out because I think it was groundbreaking for me last week when we had Kamal on the call. He said, I think in a 6 month timeline. And that really helped save me a lot because my mind goes at a million miles an hour. It helped to like compact it down to where I can take action on 6 months. But for so long, I've been trying to predict the future. Like, what will it be in 10 years? And I do nothing today because of that. And
Mm.
I think that like thinking in a 6 month time frame, how are things going to change and grow and evolve over the next 6 months? Is a better I like that he said that's a better time frame to create actionable items. So I'm working on myself again. I'm speaking to myself. I'm young. I've learned a lot, but I still have a lot to learn. It's just how do you think about things in a analytical and a air like a up in the clouds way to conceptualize it, but also most importantly take action. So I think like just focusing on the action things because right now again with AI, it's like nobody knows. But when nobody knows, you can't take action. So it's like, how do we take action when nobody knows?
Yeah, what a great question. How do we take action when nobody knows? That I have that the K versus R shaped thing, dude, that I think is really important in worth some meditation, which is you don't take an action, you take 1,000 actions with the expectation that 998 of them die. But the two that survive, just by simple fact of their survival, means that they're worth quite a bit more than the 998 would be in a stable environment. So that's the beginning of an answer. It's not the answer. But that's really good input, Jacob. I appreciate that. I think the take home message there for me is to focus on what's actionable too. Thank you for that. Neil, you got your hand up?
It's funny. I was going to say a very similar thing. I just got to level 2 in the 3x community on school,
You
and
guys are
so
gonna be
all
so mad at me, dude, because I'm moving out of school. I hate it. I'm moving to Circle.
okay. So, but all the
I
framework
thought you did
courses,
all that work. I'm so sorry.
all the framework courses unlocked for me, like yesterday or the day before, and
Yeah.
I started watching them, and you make the point repeatedly that it's action is kind of maybe not the only thing, but I know for myself in particular, and I'm sure a lot of us more generally, um, it's very easy to get lost in discussing these complicated new things that are really interesting and lose sight of that taking action on the next step thing.
Mm.
So,
Dude, can I give you all some advice that's so self-interested? Go
go for it.
hire an EA. Preferably from me, because mine are better and smarter, and when you do that, I make money. But even if it's not from me, the thing about taking action for entrepreneurs is it's hard if you're gonna dig trenches for a living, don't be the guy that sells the trenches, right? Because the guy who has to dig the trench is never gonna sell the trench as well as he could. Because I could sell 50,000 miles of trenches until I'm the one that has to dig it, and then that's like, boom, that gets compressed really quickly, and I get very pragmatic about my trench digging. When you have an EA, your ideas become immediately actionable. And everybody on this call is seeing me do it. I pull up my phone and I'm like, hey, Gina, do me a favor. Hey, Vicente, do me a favor. And hey, Julian, do me a favor. And I have an army at this point, which is a luxury. And it's a luxury that I've built over time. Everybody on this call has that available to them if they want it. And with the world of financial arbitrage, because the fiat currency that we've created through the petrodollar suppresses the entire rest of the world's currency, like we hold the rest of the world hostage and enslaved. And that's a fact. And it's horrible and it's pernicious and it's evil and it's a crime against humanity that we're going to pay for in a long enough timeline. And you get to reverse that a little bit if you want to by finding somebody in an emerging nation, paying them more than they'd make otherwise, and then giving them meaningful work. And so you can go to the Philippines, Pakistan, India. Actually, the Philippines I think is burned. To be honest with you, go to Vietnam, go to Thailand. If you're like I don't have any money, Custom, I promise you that's not true. I promise you, if you could pull together $400 a month which, cancel everything, cancel Netflix and cancel your cell phone. And I'm talking to people that are on the live too. Like there's no way you can't produce that. And then you hire somebody, you can get a part-time, you can get a badass part-time in Thailand or Vietnam for $400 USD. And then when you have an idea, you fire it off to them. And you're like, hey, build this, do that, create this. And the rule is, who was it? It was I was talking to? I was talking to Leo Weinstein. He learned this in the military. They used to say, hands in your pockets. How do you get it done? You're not allowed to use your hands. How do you get it done? Well, you get it done through somebody else. And so I think that one of the things that's really helpful in a world of indexing towards action is you don't have to be the person that has to take the action. Because if you just add it to the to-do list of things that you're going to do, now you have to get pragmatic again and intelligent, and you have to, prioritize. But in a world of creating 1,000 things, there really shouldn't be. I think the process of prioritization is actually an inhibitor, especially in this world that's so difficult to predict. The time it takes you to prioritize stops you from being able to execute on things. And some of them are going to be stupid. Just accept that too. I have a CFO, a personal CFO who manages all of my businesses. And he's so funny because he's Chicken Little, dude. He's always coming to me. He's like, this business is going to fail. This is a waste of money. We should stop doing this. And I'm like, no, dude, I know. Like, you are 100% like, enough of these are going to die. And he just cannot wrap his head around the fact that some of these won't work. But then the ones that do, I've done $500,000 in self-storage. And when we started, we were spending $2,000 a month on self-storage leads. And he was like, Custom, month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5, month 6, he'll come to me with like $12,000 lost. I'm like, I know, dude, like 100%, like I know that. But then all of a sudden I get the self-storage deal and it's $250,000. And that also blows his mind because in his mind, it's not possible. So I think it's like indexing towards action and then just letting yourself feel stupid when stuff goes horribly wrong. At least that's been my plan. Jacob, you have your hand up.
Yeah, quick question. So I read Tommy Mello's book, and his first thing was to hire an executive assistant, was his first hire.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to understand more because it seems like there's a lot of pushback, even for myself and most people, because it just seems we say $400 or $500. Like, how big of what pain point would an executive assistant get rid of for you? Like the biggest pain point? And what result did you have yourself from hiring your first executive assistant? Like, how did things change?
If you don't mind, I'm gonna be horribly obnoxious, only because I'm 12 minutes over time, and I'm gonna ask you to read my book or synthesize it, put it through EA. I wrote, y'all, and I wrote every word of this. This isn't AI generated. This is me, and I really put my heart and my soul into it. This is my whole thesis. People are miracles, and there is so much, Jacob, that you're doing with your time that you should not be doing. From an entrepreneurial perspective, your time is worth the same multiple that your business would sell for. So if you're in a business that would sell for 6 to 8x, your time is worth 6 to 8x what you bill hourly. If your business would sell for 10 to 13, your time is worth 10 to 13x. You, no matter what, just by virtue of the fact that you're in business, should be able to bill out at $150 USD. No matter what. That's what entry level, early stage digital consultants, if they're worth a damn, can bill out at. If they actually know what they're doing. So take 150, let's say the low end of everything. Let's say it's not 150, let's say it's 75, which means you're doing things horribly wrong. But let's say it's 75. $75 an hour. Let's say the lowest end of the valuation matrix is 6x. That means that your time is worth $450 an hour. So now use that arithmetic. Anything that you do that you can get done for less than $450 an hour is an absolute waste of your time. So that's all of your inbox management, all of your calendar management, all of your research, scheduling your own dental appointments, trying to figure out what the cheapest flight is when you're going to go visit your nana, like grocery shopping, anything that you do for under $450. And I'll tell you what entrepreneurs do. Still to this day, a really good friend of mine who is worth an insane amount of money. He fires his EA, he didn't get through me, but he fires his EA, and I was like, dude, why'd you let her go? I thought she was great. And he goes, yeah, it took her 3 or 4 hours to do something I could do in 20 minutes. I'm like, yeah, dipshit. First of all, he doesn't bill out hourly, but if he did, it would have to be $50,000 an hour. But let's say it was 1,000, right? It's $1,000 an hour, and he's paying her, I don't know what, let's say she's insanely overpaid as an EA. She's $50 an hour, but it takes her 4 hours to do it. So that's $200, and it took him 20 minutes to do it. So that's $333. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, dude, spend the money and do the thing. No matter what, you're doing things that are massively beneath your pay grade. That's number one. Number two is actually, number one's less important. Number two is learning how to leverage time. It's your most finite resource. And people allow you to leverage time. And when you learn to work through people, because it's hard, learning to work through people that's the greatest unlock as an entrepreneur. And that's what all the greatest entrepreneurs do. I love the people that criticize like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. The big criticisms you hear of all of them are the same. Well, they don't actually do anything. Like, did you know Steve wasn't actually a coder? He never actually coded anything. You know, Elon never started Tesla. And it's like, yeah, obviously, dipshit. That means they're smarter. You know what I mean? Like, are you kidding me? That's even more amazing. The fact that this person was able to execute on all these things and didn't even know how to do it. So find yourself somebody extraordinary, love on them, really pour into them, show them. And here's the thing that's really amazing from an employer's perspective is, man, you get to unlock folks. Because most employees are used to being abused, and they're used to people not believing them, and they're used to people like, you know, looking over their shoulder and just not equipping them. And man, when you find somebody who's really extraordinary, and the book that I just gifted you with has all the templates and everything that you're going to need, including a global job board that shows you every single job board in the world broken down by both category and geography. And so go find somebody internationally and then earn their trust, which takes some time, and learn their culture, which takes some time, and then learn how to delegate, which sucks and takes some time, and you're going to suck at it because everybody does. But once you unlock those things, it is the biggest entrepreneurial unlock. Like, it's funny to me, it should be funny to all of you too. It should be massively insulting that of everybody on this call, I understand everything we're talking about the least. That's a fact, by the way. That's not self-deprecation. That's not me being funny. Like, and it is kind of humorous, right? Like, I am on a call with 16 some odd people that are all smarter than me, according to an objective view and understanding, right? But I'm still the one leading the freaking call because I put myself in that position because I get to leverage people. So you can learn technology, or you can learn people. And I think right now, and this won't always be true, I think people are in the unlock. I hope that didn't sound arrogant. I'm so sorry. I wasn't trying
No,
to
it
brag.
sounded great. Sorry, I didn't mean to get you fired up. I actually read this stuff. It sounds like you figured something out that you can't get people to get in their heads, and it gets so frustrating. And I know that for me with certain things too, like especially like just eating healthy food. I try to tell people, and they're like, "Dude, you're crazy." I'm like, "You would just be amazed at how well you feel if you just eat healthy food." But yeah, I think this was in your course. I went through that, and I wasn't asking, sorry, for like a personal reason. I was trying to like just prompt to understand more because it just seems like, and Tommy Mello is the same way. It just felt like he was really frustrated where it's like, why? And I've told my brother that. I told him, I said, well, he has this company. I was like, Tommy Mello says that you should, he's like, you should stop listening to that guy. And so it just
I
seems
know
like,
Tommy, dude. Tommy is wicked smart. I can probably get Tommy on this call. I don't want to promise that because he's such a busy, but
yeah.
I'm going to message him right now.
You definitely should. That would be amazing if you could get him on.
All right, hold on. Ready? Tommy Mello, I am messaging you right now on a Zoom call with 15 people on the Zoom, and I don't know how many people viewing live. I'm going to pretend like it's thousands, many, many thousands, but it's probably not that. And your name was just mentioned in glowing terms probably about 15 or 16 times, specifically by one young man named Jacob. You are admired, and the ask is if you'd be willing to show up to one of these calls. I host a live Zoom call every single business day at 6 p.m. Eastern, which is 3 p.m. our time. And we just sprek in the bushy babble, dude. We just talk shit and try to figure out what's going on in the world and how to use AI and how to build businesses. And because everybody here knows you, likes you, Jacob was quoting your book and talking about how you recommend hiring an EA. If you had the inclination to just hop on and pour into some young entrepreneurs and help guide people in the right direction, it would be greatly appreciated. I know you're massively busy. I know you run a great big business. I know you're building that fucking insane house that Joe keeps talking about in PV. So if you don't have time for this, that's okay too. I love you regardless. I will remind you that my traffic guys run your traffic, and so that's not a threat per se, but that is just, so I'm just kidding, dude. I love you a lot. I appreciate you. Let me know if you're willing to do this. And we'll put it together whenever. Peace. All right. Hopefully I didn't just lose a friend in Tommy Mello.
You should have closed. You should have closed with, but you're free to say no.
But you're free to say no. Yeah, that's funny. I'll make him an offer he can't refuse. Tommy's a fun guy, dude. I've known Tommy from the beginning. Like he rented space from my landlord. He had like 1,200 square foot office, and he and I used to bullshit at these events. The next thing I know, he just explodes, and now he's a badass. He has the last 5-acre lot in Paradise Valley. Like, he beat out professional athletes to buy that stupid thing. Tommy's made a lot of money. He's a really, really bright guy. Y'all, I gotta go. This was great. I'd love to know what I can do better. Don't forget Grant's speaking tomorrow. The day after that is Alan. If there's other people that you want to speak, I'll do what I just did, and I have no shame. And we'll try to just build out the community. If you're joined us live on the Zoom, you should have access to the WhatsApp community. It actually looks like some people have already jumped in. So this can be a place where we go to speak after the fact. If you're watching this live and you want to join Zoom, you can always join dailysigh.ai. I will summarize all these calls and send them to you daily or weekly. If you want to go to dailysigh.ai and subscribe. Clinton's hand was up real quick. I don't want to ignore that. Clinton, did you have something to say?
Request. Could
I'm ready.
Vicente make a list of tools every day?
Who was that?
Could Vicente make a list of tools every day on top
Yeah,
of what he does already?
he can. Vicente just had a baby, so I gave him time off. But when he's back, here's what you'll have to do is just remind me because I have nobody to send that to right now. I don't want to bug him while he's new daddy. But yeah, dude, I mean, if we want to build, what we should have is a thread inside that WhatsApp thread, or maybe inside of the school community of just like all the tools and people can double click and prioritize and all that fun stuff. That's a great idea. Keep ideas like that coming.
Cool.
You guys are awesome. Everybody's awesome. I appreciate all y'all. I love that everybody's showing up. The consistency blows my freaking mind. And we're getting some newbies. Ilanka, thanks for coming. Brandon, thanks for inviting Ilanka. Steve, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel. Kai, thanks for always coming back. Zach, I don't think we heard from you, but I bet you're a beautiful person. Wayne, thanks for coming back. Appreciate it. Jason Croft, Brandon, Jacob Campbell, Clinton, Elliot, Dylan, Jason, Neil, Grant speaking tomorrow. Y'all are awesome. I think